Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
It's the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 206 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined this week by occasional panelist, the former WBO Super-Featherweight champion of the world. It is of course Mr. Barry Jones. Barry, thank you for joining me. How are you?
I'm okay, but a little bit cheesed off because I saw an interview the other day with Regis Prograis and he had a lovely t-shirt on that said boxing, whatever your podcast is called.
BoxHard, Barry.
I'm joking. I was so enraged I couldn't even get the words out. The BoxHard Podcast. I thought, where's my t-shirt?
Listen, I've got one here with your name on it. I just didn't think you were a t-shirt man, Barry, to be honest.
I wear clothes. Just because I'm from Wales doesn't mean I don't wear clothes. I do. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm all good. Thanks for having me back on. It was a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure from me also.
We go back a long way now, mate.
We do.
A long way.
Long way. Blissful years.
Almost friends.
But starting though with the review part of the show, the Tuscany Hall is where we're going to begin here in Florence, Italy, the Matchroom Italy show. Couple fights to mention on the bill. We got Luther Clay, obviously a guy fighting from out of Bracknell with Al Siesta. 11-1 his record, but you know he's a good fighter, a lot of promise, very very difficult style actually, and he showed it here against the undefeated Italian Dario Morello. 15-0 was Morello, but the unanimous decision in favour of Luther Clay, very very wide across all three cards. Looked like he was actually going to get the stoppage as well at parts of that. I think he may have even got a knockdown. I can't even remember it too much. But very dominant win there from Luther Clay. Also on that bill, we got to see Devis Boschiero, a guy who, you know, he's boxed a few up-and-comers kind of thing. He's got one of the most padded records I've ever seen. 47 wins, 6 losses and 2 draws. He actually scored a TKO in 8 rounds against the undefeated 9-0 Ivan Thomas. I'm guessing he must have been pretty padded. Also, that one was for the vacant IBF Intercontinental Super Featherweight title, but the main attraction really, Orlando Fiordigiglio, I think it said, 31-2 going in against our very own Sam Eggington. Obviously, Eggington, you know, you'd probably say his best days were behind him. You know, defense isn't his strong point. Obviously, in his last kind of big fight, he just got demolished really by Liam Smith, who is a few levels above, to be fair to Eggington. But anyway, he stepped in here, 26-6. The IBF International Super Welterweight title on the line, and Eggington managed to score the TKO in 2 rounds. He absolutely battered the Italian here, and for the second round knockout, it was 50-1, the odds there. That was a steal. I mean, I wish I put more than 20 pence on it, Barry, but I was the winner. Did you happen to see?
The thing with Eggington, yeah, I did. I saw the Eggington fight. I didn't watch the rest of it. I have recorded. I didn't watch the rest of the bill. But Sam, he's such a lovely guy, Eggington. You have to, you want to watch him. You want to, you really. He's a kid. You always want to win because, to be honest, let's get it right. The style he has, it doesn't really bode well for longevity. And you tend to think that he would get exposed at the highest level, and he sort of has at a high level. But I think he's gone way above what we thought he would. And Liam Smith. There's no shame in a loss against Liam Smith, of course. And obviously, Archie wasn't the fight that he was. But still a great win. And again, just keeps proving people wrong because going away from home, getting a run against anyone, has records or not. It's still a guy who's going in full of confidence, thinking he's going to blow you away. And Eggington just showed sheer strength and determination, as he always does, and just totally overwhelmed the kid. And I tell you something, those Italians gotta hate Eddie Hearn. He just takes his fighters over and just beats the Italians every week. It's just a bit of a disaster, isn't it, for the Italian group? I don't know whether it doesn't matter. It's all about just getting the content out there, or whether they're trying to build a proper camp over in Italy. But it just seems sort of like cannon fodder for British fighters going to get wins abroad. I mean, that's what it's proven at the minute. But Egerton, listen, you've got to be happy for him. He's a lovely kid, and I don't know where his career goes further on from here. But in this crazy climb with the boxing, who knows where he might end up.
Yeah, because I heard that, I haven't double-checked this, but I heard that guy, the Italian, had a real high ranking with the IBF. And I think maybe number 1 and number 2 in the ratings aren't even listed. And I think he was like maybe number 4. So if Egerton was to take his ranking, next thing you know, he's got an IBF world title shot. So, yeah, it is what it is. Funny things happen in boxing. Moving out now to Germany at the Sport Hall in Dorf, Mecklenburg. Prince Patel, not your favourite fighter, Barry, but he was in a.
I gotta go. Sorry, I'll speak.
He was in a tough fight here though against Luis Melendez, who had a record of 47-12 with 1 draw, and the Prince actually picked up a KO in the 4th round. Now 21-1 with that 1 draw. Moving on swiftly, let's go now to the Auditorio del Estado in Mexicali, Mexico. Golden Boy promotion card here. Jojo Diaz picked up win number 30. Of course, he's got that 1 loss to Gary Russell Jr., who has posted a bit of a stupid video, if I'm being honest. He's a friend of the show, Gary Russell, and I just want to say, I was quite shocked by what he put out, because that's not really him. I don't really get that vibe from him that he's a bad guy, but a bit distasteful there. But anyway, back onto the fight. The opponent, Jesus Cuadro, now 18-6. Quite surprised to see it was a majority decision over 12 rounds for Jojo Diaz. I thought he'd absolutely blow this guy out, but I think Cuadro was quite a tough guy looking at his record, but I hadn't really heard of him before the fight. I just had a little look, and he was a tough guy. Moving out now to South Africa at the Emperor's Palace in Kempton Park. A cruiserweight to keep an eye on, Kevin Lerena, now 24-1. I think he's been on Box Nation a couple of times, Barry, if I'm not mistaken. But
yeah, he has. Yeah.
It was a defence of his IBO World Cruiserweight title against obviously former Tyson Fury opponent Sefa Seferi. Well done to Lerena. He managed to get him out of there in 3 rounds. Sefa Seferi now 23-3 with 1 draw. Moving out now to the Rabobank Theatre in California, USA. A decent little card here, actually. Probably the best action, really, of last week. Thomas Delorme managed to get a unanimous decision win over 10 rounds against the previously undefeated Terrell Williams. A good win there for Delorme. It was a good action-packed fight as well. And also on that undercard, Peter Quillin, Kid Chocolate, managed to lose, actually, a split decision over 10 rounds to Alfredo Angulo. I mean, that's a complete shock to me. I felt like Angulo was well over the hill a couple years ago. And, people say that Quillin's shot and stuff like that, he's over the hill. But he's still only got, until this fight happened, he only had that 1 loss to Jacobs. It wasn't like it was a fight where he took loads and loads of punishment. It was over in a round. And he's kind of been a little bit semi-retired since then. He's been very inactive, but I still thought he'd have way too much for Angulo. But no, Angulo gets it there, like I say, on a split over 10. Quite shocking, really, for me, Barry. Maybe you're not as surprised, but to see the decline of Peter Quillin happen so rapidly.
I am. Well, inactivity is a killer in any sport, but more so in boxing. I think Quillin, started so promisingly. Did he beat Undam, didn't he, to win his first world, to win the WBO title? But that's when he come to prominence. Undam then was a really good fighter, great movement. And he pummeled him. Just couldn't. Undam did well. Just kept knocking him down, and you thought this guy might be a little bit special. And I think he just delivered. I think he promised so much and delivered. And even though he was a good fighter, a really good fight with Andy Lee. Obviously, that ended up in a draw. Got a box for most of it. But knocked Andy down a few times. Daniel Jacobs obviously turned out to be a better fighter than anyone thought he was going to be. A fantastic operator. But Quillin, just for me, I think it was, even though he's been a world champion and boxed at a high level, I think it's a relatively wasted career. I think that's how highly I rated him at one point. But Angulo was being shot for a long time, and he was just, to me, I thought he was just cannon fodder for prospects on the verge of world title fights. That's what I thought Angulo was going to be sitting. But now he beats Quillin, And who knows, he might get a world title shot now off the back of that. As crazy that may sound.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I should mention on the card a guy called Chris Colbert, now 13-0. He managed to get a knockout in the very first round against Miguel Beltran Jr. That's arguably knockout of the year material, actually. So shout out to Colbert there. And also on the undercard, Gary Antoine Russell, obviously one of the Gary Russell brothers, now 11-0. A KO in the first round against Luis Ronaldo Castillo, who's now 20-5. I believe it was a body shot that actually ended everything. Gary Antoine Russell, one to look out for. I think he's the one. I get a bit confused because they're all called Gary Russell, but I think he's the one who can really punch, actually. Could be wrong.
Is he the Olympian as well?
Is he? I'm getting confused.
I'm not sure. A couple of them went to the Olympics, didn't they? One in the last Olympics, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, it is confusing. It's such a George Foreman syndrome, isn't it?
Even his daughters, I think, are called Georgina and stuff. He loves that name. But yeah, also visiting the Four Bears Casino and Lodge in North Dakota, USA. Usually we wouldn't talk about bare knuckle boxing, but it's a friend of the show. He made his bare knuckle boxing debut after retiring from professional boxing. I think it was last year. Ishe Smith. He got in there with a guy, Estevan Payan. I'm not going to pretend I know anything about him, but a good win there for Ishe Smith over 3 rounds unanimously. Moving out now to the final card to mention from last week at the Woodhouse Park Lifestyle Centre in Wivenshaw, Manchester. I think it was a Joe Gallagher Promotions card, this one, Barry. Just a couple fights, really showcases on the bill. Marcus Morrison, he got a knockout in the first round against Edwin Palacios. Obviously, Morrison was one of those guys that went out to Italy and got a brilliant win on one of those Matchroom Italy cards. And also Paul Butler, former world champion. Seems like he's just constantly treading water, really, but it was his 30th win. He's got the 2 losses. It was a points win over 6 rounds against a guy with a record of 8-10 with 1 draw. I'm not quite sure why Paul Butler he drops down in level so much sometimes, but a good win for him, like I say. Anything to add, Barry? Before we go on? Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's just to keep him busy. That was just a card maybe for Joe to see what's like being promoted, but he got so many fighters in his camp, and they can't all top the bills, and they can't all get on Matchroom bills, and it seems that's where his allegiance is to Sky and Matchroom at the minute with his boxers, Joe, and so he's just keeping them busy, which is, this is fair enough. You have to, again, I already said it just a few minutes ago, that activity, can kill a career. And so just keep these guys busy. And Paul Butler's treading water, and it does seem that way. But the problem he has is, at the minute, he's below that level of fighters who have the world title list. He's below them right now. That's just the way it is. I mean, there might be a change in the climate, and he might be the winnable title again. He's still a good operator, but right now, any of those champions, and the ones who just lost it as well, like Rodriguez has already beat him. The top sort of 4 and 5, beat Paul every day of the week as it stands at the minute. But that World Boxing Super Series, that takes place, and it all opens up again. Who knows? People move up and down in weights, and he's right in the forefront again. Or he's on the tail end of his career. It's still hard to tell where he is exactly, but I just know that at the highest level he's just not quite there, because there's some tremendous talent in his weight. He's just unfortunate that the top sort of 4 or 5 are real top draw fighters.
Absolutely. But that is everything for the review part of the show. Just before we wrap up part 1, the final thing to do is to welcome our very first guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the undefeated WBO European Super-Featherweight champion. It is, of course, Mr. Archie Sharp. Archie, welcome back on the show.
No, thanks for having me back on the show.
No problem, Arch. So we last spoke back in July, not too long ago. It was just after the win over Jordan McCorry. Obviously, your next fight, it's been a bit of a quick turnaround. It happens this Friday. It's going to be against Declan Geraghty at the Royal Albert Hall. What do you know about Geraghty, Arch?
I've seen him box a couple of times now against, obviously, the likes of John O'Carroll, who's the other fellow, James Tennyson, and also Marco McLeod. So, yeah, I've seen him. I've seen a bit of him. Good technical fighter, very good amateur. Was a very good amateur. But I just think, being 29, listen, I don't know if he lives the life or not, but I think he tries to box how he was back when he was 10-year-old. I just don't think he can do it anymore. Like I say, he's a very good amateur, technical, and he tries to be more technical as a pro, but he obviously leaves himself wide open as he has been chinned a couple of times.
And you mentioned there, he's got those losses to John O'Carroll. He's got the loss to James Tennyson, and they both went on to box for a world title. You mentioned also the most recent loss, which was to Marco McCulloch. But, out of those guys there I've mentioned, they've all kind of gone on to make a name for themselves. They're pretty big names now, especially obviously Carroll and Tennyson getting their world title shots. I'm guessing you're just kind of looking to make a statement here, and this is pretty much, respectfully, but it's pretty much a stepping stone for something bigger, to get your name on the same level as your Tennysons and your Carrolls kind of thing.
You literally hit the nail on the head. That's 100% what the plan is. Like I say, he's a good fighter. He knows this will be his last sort of chance now to step up for a big title shot like this. The WBO obviously gives me a ranking of 10th in the world, so this is his major step up. So I know he's going to be coming with he won't be leaving no stones unturned himself, but I just do believe I'm the better fighter, and I shall be proving that to everyone to move on for the big fights in the new year. Because like I said, the Frank and MTK, I don't want to be sitting around. I want to be pushing on for that Jamel Herring and Roach Jr. fight.
And last time you were on the show, again, you said Jordan McCorry had said that you were stronger and more powerful than Sambo, and now McCorry has signed yet again to box one of the best super featherweights we've got in Britain, Zelfa Barrett. That one's set to take place on the Josh Warrington undercard. How do you see that one playing out, Arch? Because we're quite lucky to have so many brilliant fighters at super featherweight in the country. Obviously the likes of yourself, Bowen and Zelfa. It's a toss-up between most fans who's the best, but McCorry's got a big set of nuts. He's boxing everyone.
Exactly that, and fair play to him. Do you know what I mean? He took the Bowen fight at quite short notice, and he said to me, so I got myself in the gym straight after the Bowen fight and come to box myself, and now he's back in the gym and he's out to box Zelfa Barrett. I've done a few rounds with him after we boxed. If he doesn't rush in with Zelfa Barrett, I think he can have himself a very good fight there, and I think he could go on and cause an upset. But it just depends on what style he takes, because as we do know, Zelfa Barrett is a good boxer, and he's the same sort of style. If someone comes rushing in, to me, it makes it an easier night's work. Just be able to get on the back foot and pick them as they come.
And you mentioned there about the Jamel Herrings and Lamont Roach Jr. That one is set to take place November 9th. Are you going to be staying up to watch that one? How do you see it playing out? I know you've kind of looked into both guys much more now that they're both fighting for the title. I know that you've kind of given both of them a bit of attention. How do you see it playing out from what you do know about the pair?
From what I do know that Lamont Roach Jr. is more technical. Jamel Herring's just come off a very good win, as we all know, winning the WBO World title. So he's going to be on cloud 9. And we'd soon see if winning that WBO was not a fluke, because that ain't a fair comment to make, because he is a very good fighter. Been to the World Games as an amateur as well. Very, very experienced fighter. But some was questioning his age, some was questioning his ability, but he's gone on and won the WBO World title. And it was just to see if he can stay there. Some fighters, they go and win big fights like that, and they maintain you at the top. So it'd be interesting to see how he does with Lamont Roach Jr. As you know, Lamont Roach Jr. is young. I think he's 23, 24, same age as me. Also a technical, good boxer. And then we'll just have to see what he can bring to the table. But I do think it's going to be a good fight, and I will be edging for Jamel Herring to win the fight.
Absolutely, same here. Another fight that's happening soon, December. We're asking everyone at the minute, Arch, about this one, because there's lots and lots of mixed opinions. Joshua Ruiz, how do you see the rematch playing out in Saudi Arabia?
I do believe Ruiz beats Joshua again. I think it was about time that I didn't expect, to be honest with you, I didn't expect Ruiz to beat him, so I'd be lying to say, I knew that was going to happen, because I didn't really know much about Ruiz till after he won, and I'd done a bit of research on him and had a little look to see how that happened, and I can see why that happened. If he just stayed hungry and determined to win, I think he goes out and he beats Joshua again. But Joshua has lost a lot of weight, so it'd be interesting to see how he comes out. But I've never been a great fan of Anthony Joshua. He's done very well at the business side of things. He's earned himself a lot of money, so fair play to him, credit for that. But I do believe boxing ability, he was very, I don't know if limit's the right word.
Bit green.
Limited, I don't know if that's the right word, but yes, 100%. And obviously the likes of Tyson Fury, I've said from day one, beats is the best we've got. And now Ruiz is up there. So yeah, I think Ruiz beats him on a rematch, but I do believe that Fury is the best heavyweight out there.
And just a couple questions sent in. One question sent in. Someone else sent like a bit of a shout out kind of thing in. This one's from @JohnnyTownsend on Twitter. He basically said he wants to wish you all the best in your career. He'll be following you from San Diego out in the States. So nice little touch.
Lovely. Yeah, no, I much appreciate that. That's a shout out to him. I much appreciate that. And yeah, it's nice to see to have a bit of recognition, especially out there in the States.
Yeah, obviously that fight against Herring, if it does happen, will probably end up over there. So it's good to have a bit of support out there already. This one's from @SaidClash07. He says, after a tough last fight, are we going to see another knockout from you on Friday? Yeah, I mean the last fight was sort of tough. I mean, you pretty much won everything, but obviously it went to points. Do you see a knockout here, Arch, or do you not really like to predict ahead of time kind of thing? You're not Muhammad Ali.
No. Far from it.
You're Muhammad Archie.
Muhammad Archie. But no, to be honest with you, it will be interesting to see. Listen, it's definitely possible for a knockout there, but I will not be looking for it. The main thing is getting the win, and like I say, pushing on for the big titles. Yes, my last fight was a tough fight, but like you said, I definitely won. I'll probably say nearly all rounds, but it was definitely a tough opponent, Jordan McCorry. What would be good is seeing another style against myself. So obviously at the minute everyone's seeing the Woodstock, the Jordan McCorry. They all face first fighters. They all want to come and have a war. I don't believe Declan saying he will come out for a fight. I don't believe that personally. He hasn't really done that any of his other fights, so why is he going to change? But if he does, as everyone knows, that suits me down to the ground. But it'll be interesting to see if he does try to come out and box and show a better boxing skill.
And finally, Arch, any closing words to talk to our listeners? I always ask you this. You usually send a message just to the guys listening, thanking them for your, for the support that they've got for you. Any closing message?
Yeah, so like I say, same. Thanks for the support from everyone. Much appreciate it. And I look forward to putting on a massive show for everyone on Friday. So definitely tune into Box Nation. I believe it's on ESPN Plus as well. And I look forward to putting a show on for you all. It's going to be a great night of boxing. And I want to get a good win here and push on for the world title shots in the new year for sure.
BT Sport is on, isn't it, Arch? It's not Box Nation, is it?
Yeah. BT Sport, sorry, yeah. Is that what I said? Box Nation, did I?
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, BT Sport is on, and I do believe it's ESPN Plus, so definitely stay tuned to that. And I look forward to putting on the show.
Excellent. BT Sport for the UK listeners, and of course ESPN Plus for those guys out in the States. Get a good little glimpse of Archie. Anyone that's listening from out there, get a little glimpse, because if he comes through this, and of course if Jamel comes through his fight, that's a fight that Jamel himself has talked about. So if the fight does happen, you'll know a little bit more than your friends when the fight gets made. So certainly keep an eye on that. But listen, Archie, it's always great speaking with you, my friend. You know that. Best of luck for Friday at the Royal Albert Hall, and we'll catch up sometime after.
Yeah, no, I much appreciate that, and like I say, thanks again for having me on. Love being on the show.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the preview part of the show. We're going to start with a card that's happening later today in the Montreal Casino in Quebec, Canada. A guy here called Oleksandr Gvozdyk. He was a sensational amateur, over 200 and something wins he got. He fights here for the vacant WBA Continental Super Lightweight title and the vacant IBF Intercontinental Super Lightweight title. His record, by the way, a perfect one, 16-0. He takes on the very tough guy Miguel Vasquez, who should have beaten O'Hara Davies in his last fight at York Hall. I think O'Hara Davies was quite clearly upset, even though he got the win. He was lifting the arm of Vasquez in disgust, really, that he'd actually been given a real favour by the judges. So I hope that Vasquez does well here. I'd like him to get some luck. He certainly needs it, and he probably will really need it in a fight like this against an amateur as good as this guy. So that's a 10-rounder there. Moving over now to the Royal Albert Hall this Friday. Barry, I'm sure you'll be doing the commentary as always for the BT Sport card. Let's start with the undercard though. Dennis McCann, he's really looking good at the minute. 3-0, a 6-rounder, just against a journeyman, obviously still coming up. Georgiev, seen him a few times with a few other prospects. One to look out for the future, Barry, or too early to tell?
Well, like anything, it is too early to tell. But you just go by the experience that you've seen other fighters who've gone on to achieve stuff and what they look like early in their careers, and he has that sort of feel about him. He's explosive. No, I don't think he's going to be the biggest puncher that we first said he was after his debut. I think he hits hard and he will stop a lot of people. But he's not a. I don't think he's going to be a devastating KO artist, but I think the way he fights, he's so aggressive. He's always looking to pounce on you with that big wide stance. That he will get lots of stoppages, and some of them will be good. But he has to just keep honing his boxing skills, because I think that's ultimately the speed and the foot movements is what's going to make him a better fighter. But he's really young, so it's about holding him back as long as you can, getting those learning fights. But for me, he has the look of a future star.
Absolutely. Hasn't lost a round as a pro just yet. 2 first-round knockouts and a shutout over 4 rounds for McCann. Also on the bill, friend of the show, Willie Hutchinson, looking to move to double figures, 9-0 currently. It's an 8-rounder against Borislav Zankov, who's 11-26 with 1 draw. Denzel Bentley, 10-0. He takes on Kelsey Ball over 8 rounds. Kelsey Ball, 10-1. That's gone under the radar, actually. Good fight there. A guy that we spoke to earlier on in the show, friend of the show, Archie Sharp, 16-0. He's in a 10-rounder against Declan Geraghty, another one that has kind of flown under the radar a little bit. Nicola Adams, 5-0, her first defence of her WBO World Female Flyweight title after being elevated to full champion. That's 10 2-minute rounds against Maria Salinas, who's 21-7 with 3 draws. And of course the main attraction, 2 undefeated heavyweights, Daniel Dubois, 12-0 for the vacant Commonwealth heavyweight title against Ebenezer Tete, 19-0, 12 rounds here. Barry, I'm just going to kind of throw it over to you for any of the fights just discussed. I've whizzed through them. What kind of catches your eye on the bill itself, or just give me a few words on everything if you wish. Take it away.
Yeah, well, down to Dubai and Nicola Adams, I think it's easy to predict who's going to win those fights. Tete, who boxes Dubai, is a big, massive lump. Good record, 19-0. Nothing wrong with the fight. It's a Commonwealth title fight. Dubai's still young. He's only 12-0. But if you've seen Tete on YouTube, which I have, then I don't think Dubois got too much to worry about. But the heavyweight division is different to any other. How you project the fight? Are you in his early stages? Are you the experience that he gains? He needs some knockover jobs, and this is it. And I think he had a real good test against Gorman. It didn't turn out to be a test in the end in his previous fight, but the whole training, the mental side, and the nerves going in against a guy you knew was coming to win, was a good fighter, was going to be competitive if he could be. And Dubois showed a side to his game which we hadn't seen before, an intelligence that I didn't think he had. So that bodes well. But this fight, I think he does just uses his physical strength, that solid left hand. He has a beautiful, really strong jab. Not a Larry Holmes jab, which I think somebody mentioned this week. It might have been Frank Warren, maybe said.
Yeah, it was.
His jab reminds me of Larry Holmes. I don't think it's the same sort of jab as Larry Holmes, because his is a real solid. Larry's was a Greek with the best jab, maybe the best jab in heavyweight boxing ever, possibly, Larry Holmes. But it was more of a flicking, whipping jab, and I don't think Daniel has that. But it's a solid jab. It's almost like a backhand, isn't it? It pushes right through you. Nicola Adams, again, I don't think she's up against much. I'm watching Salinas, and she's boxed the world title a few times, and she'll give it a go. But the movement that Adams has, I expect, I don't. But any of those top 2 fights, I don't think they go past 6 rounds, either one of them, to be honest. But Archie Sharp versus Declan Geraghty is the fight that's going to steal the show for me. It really is. I think Archie Sharp, that he's talking about, this era of not fighting anywhere at the end of the top by an assistant like Patel did. He didn't get to the top, but he got on a major TV bill for a minor world title in inverted commas, and came up short against a guy who was only average at best. I'm not slagging him off. Just he did what he did. He did what was in his right. He manipulated the system to get a high rank in the organisations. But it proved it doesn't do you any favours and get to a decent level. But Archie Sharp hasn't done that. He's had one easy fight in his last 3 fights, a mark time fight. But before that, he boxed 2 good kids. 2 good kids who really come to win. He had all the training camps, the mental preparations, and having to perform, and he did. And he got this again Friday night against Declan Geraghty. Declan's beat. I know he got stopped his last fight, but I was there and he was boxing really well. He just got caught. And the chances are Sharp might do the same sort of job on Declan Geraghty. But if Sharp's not at his best, he'll get beat against Geraghty. He has to be at his best because Geraghty's a really clever, talented southpaw who causes him plenty of problems. So I think that's a fight that's going to steal the show. I think that'll be really competitive, but you have to favour Sharp. So even though all the left-hand side of the column, are going to win on Friday night, I think, Dubois is just exciting to see a guy from the beginning, see where he's going to go. They're building maybe a future star. Nicola Adams, obviously, she's almost a celebrity status already, isn't she? So it's good to see where she goes. I think she has to look for some more competitive fights if she can find them, or move up in different weights maybe, which is, the curse of women's boxing. You have to go searching outside your weight to find competitive matches. That's just the way it is. But Archie Sharp and Declan Geraghty is worth tuning in on its own right.
Absolutely. And,
that keeps me in a job with BT Sports. Thank you.
Moving out to France at the H Arena. Got to mention, of course, the Olympic gold medalist Tony Yoka. He returns now 6-0. It's a 10-rounder against Michael Wallisch. Wallisch, a guy with a record of 20-2, a German fighter. I mean, he kind of padded his record up to 19-0 without really fighting anyone. And then, of course, he got in there with Christian Hammer and he got stopped in 5 rounds. So it kind of told you a lot there. And then he got stopped right after that in his very next fight against Efia Jagba, who's looking great right now. So you'd expect Tony Yoka to probably have a bit too much for him. There's a good fight on the undercard there. Solomon Sissoko, 10-0, another great amateur. He's in a 10-rounder against Dmitry Mikalenko, 23-4. So that one could be quite interesting over there in France. Moving out to Germany, we like to just give a honourable mention here to Tom Schwartz. He returns to the ring after that loss to Tyson Fury. Schwartz now 25-1. It's for the vacant IBF International Heavyweight title against Ilya Mezentchev, who has a record of 20-1. All the best to Tom Schwartz. And another brilliant fight that's again gone under the radar. The first fight was a brilliant one. David Avanesian returns to Spain. He puts his EBU European welterweight title on the line against Kerman Leharaga, former holder of the belt, the Bradley Skeet Slayer. Leharaga 28-1, like I say. Avanesian 24-3 with 1 draw. It's not an immediate rematch, Barry, because I think Leharaga had one in between. I don't know if Avanesian did. I don't think he did. But
no, he doesn't.
Yeah, initially I
can't get a match, can he?
Yeah, no. Initially I thought that Leharaga perhaps didn't want the rematch because I think he had the option for it to be immediate, and he took like a warm-up fight in the meantime. Avanesian went out to Spain. He got in the ring afterwards, and then suddenly the rematch was on. Brilliant fight.
It is, but the same result, I think. I do. I think Avanesian's just a bit more strength and confidence to stand in the pocket against a big puncher. And the Spaniard's a huge puncher. We've seen that against Bradley Skeet. But watching him prior to the Bradley Skeet fight, I thought Skeet was going to do a number on him because as big as a puncher he is, he looks very raw, makes loads of mistakes. But someone like Avanesian, who's boxed at a high level, is massively underrated, will be comfortable and confident enough just to stand in that sort of range and block and flip and make you pay for your mistakes. And I think, for me, it'll be the same result again.
Yeah.
The thing with Avanesian is that because he doesn't really have any massive following, he's just always going to be a guy who's avoided. Again, politics will play a massive part in his career. I think it has already, and I think that'll continue. He's a guy who could go away from home, take chances at last minute. And, if I had a young world champion, he'd be the last guy I was looking at to put him in against. He really would be.
Yeah, I mean, all the best to Avanesyan, friend of the show, good guy. Obviously, English isn't his strong point at the minute, but tough. It's tough because you're right. The place he comes from, he has had to do it hard. He had to go out there and fight, obviously, Mosley and Peterson, stuff like that. But the experience has given him something, and that's why we favour him in this one again. Moving out now to the Eagles Community Arena in Newcastle, another fighter that I got to mention here, a tremendous fighter, I think, with bags of potential. I think he even boxed on Box Nation. It might have been earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. Thomas Patrick Ward, 27-0 now, but again, he's in with a guy with a record of 15-10, Yesna Telavera. Never heard of him. A 10-rounder there. Again, I just want to see him pushed on a bit, Barry, because wasn't he on an undercard somewhere in America, and he looked really good?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that was on a boxing show. And he could and I can't remember the kid's name now, but I didn't do the show. I watched it at home, but he did box really well. And then he just signed with MTK, and it's an MTK, so I'll be up there in Newcastle on Saturday as well, actually. And so this is his second fight with them, and he had a maritime fight in Brentwood maybe a month or so, a couple of months ago. And he looked good, looked sharp, and the one up against much like he's not going to be on Saturday night. But yeah, you don't want too many maritime fights because otherwise you'll become stale. Now, I'm not sure if he might be in this golden contract series that MTK got on. That's going to be shown on Sky Sports, 4th of October. I'm not sure if he's in that. Because that's a featherweight tournament. I don't want to say he's on it until I double check, but I think he might be in that. It's like an 8-man tournament, all boxing 10 rounders, and I think if I'm right, it's like 6 figures for every fighter, and the winner gets a contract with a major promotion, or maybe the winner gets a guaranteed 6-figure contract with a major promoter. I'm not quite sure how it works, but it's a fantastic concept, and it's sort of like a prize fighter, but over the 10-round distance. So we'll see how we go. I think he might be in that. So just to get another fight, just to get a bit of get the ring rust off is not a bad thing. But with Newcastle, I went to Newcastle on the last MTK show. Really good. Some young kids, Joe Laws, real good crowd pleaser. Sells a lot of tickets. Good to watch. I think Selby on Bill. Selby back after the defeat in Mexico, and he got plenty of talent. We know this is talent's world class. It's just his application and outside of the ring. He's had troubles at home and stuff. And if you can get all that right, everything clicks into place, then he certainly is a world beater.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Andrew Selby on the undercard. We had him on last week's show. He told me that, but I don't think it's listed on BoxRec. But anyway, yeah, obviously he's on that card. Moving over now to the final 2 bills. Let's start though with this one, just a little one here at the Oasis Leisure Centre in Swindon, Wiltshire, United Kingdom. Whenever we have a guy that's boxing that we've had on the show before, they remain a friend of the show for life. So shout out to Luke Watkins, no opponent just yet. It's a 6-rounder there. Of course, Watkins 14-2, former Commonwealth cruiserweight champion. And moving out now to the final bill at the Staples Center in LA, California, USA. It's going to be shown on Sky Sports for us UK boxing fans, and also it's going to be on USA Fox pay-per-view in the States. So for once we're actually well, not for once, but sometimes a lot of the time with Joshua fights we've got to pay for them, and DAZN and the American audience get it free. This time it's the reverse. Taking a look at the undercard, Fabian Maidana, the brother of Marcos, 16-1. He takes on Ramses Agaton, who's 21-10 with 3 draws. The return of Robert the Ghost Guerrero, 35-6 with 1 draw. He takes on Jerry Thomas, who's 14-1 with 1 draw. That's over 10. Good fight on the undercard. Again, it's going to go under the radar simply because there's a lot of action on. But I really like this one, Barry. I don't know about you. Josecito Lopez, 36-8 in a 10-rounder against John Molina Jr., 30-8. John Molina Jr. never in a bad fight.
Well, neither one of those is defensive genius, that's for sure. And Molina is one of those fighters. He reminds me of Kamagai. Just his face is his defense. He just blocks everything with his face and just hopes to come back with more. And that's just the way he is. His head's massive, not quite as big as Kamagai's, but his head's huge. And he just walks forward, takes everything everything he can take, but just looks around at you. And so you sort of favour Lopez, but I think Lopez is probably maybe probably more worn than Molina. There are songs Malcolm Molina takes more punches, but I think Lopez maybe has quite a, even though they've got the same sort of records, I think Lopez has a bit of a longer career in many ways at a higher level. So I think maybe, if his legs are a little bit slower. But other than that, I think Lopez is the better, more skilled fighter of the two, and so I would always sort of favour him. But it's a cracking fight. It really is.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. Hopefully they show it on the telecast. Moving up to the three main fights. Friend of the show, Mario Barrios, 24-0, obviously trained by Virgil Hunter. He fights for the vacant WBA World Super Lightweight title against Batir Akhmedov, 7-0, a real good amateur. I think he represented his country in the 2016 Olympics. Yeah, so a good fighter, Akhmedov. That one could be quite interesting there. Barrios, really impressing at the minute. Obviously, still young, still kind of learning, but he's looking brilliant. He's looking better and better every fight. Anthony Durrell, 33-1 with one draw. Friend of the show, he puts his WBC World Super Middleweight title on the line against former holder of the belt, the undefeated David Benavidez, 21-0, another friend of the show. I mean, both guys, I like both guys really, Barry. I mean, I've got a much better relationship with Benavidez, but I think as much as I want to sit on the fence, I think Benavidez is a strong favourite in that one there.
I do as well. And Andy Durrell's weird, because when you watch him, he's not good to watch. All his fights are scrappy. They all are. And you just think, his brother Andre is a little bit more silky than him. That's for sure. He's a good boxer and he's clever, but he just always ends up being scrappy affairs for me, and so I've never really been a massive fan of his. And also another guy who just seems to be floating around, gets a shot again. You don't see what he's really doing with his career. There's don't see any plan or focus to where his career is going. Though he is boxing for the world title, so that's obviously where you want to be. But yeah, I think Benavidez is the one. I don't know why he's not still the world champion. I don't know. Did he have an injury? I'm not quite sure.
I think he got caught. I think he got. This could be. I don't even want to put the wrong information out, but I think he got caught.
I'll say it then, just in case. I presume that he didn't go forward with some sort of drug.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I don't think it was a PED. I think he perhaps got caught doing cocaine somewhere in a nightclub or something. Sorry, Barry, you cut out there. Sorry, what'd you say?
I said, why wouldn't you have a little bit of common sense? That this is your career. This is the only way you make a living. I don't understand some of these boxers, because most boxers, if they don't box, they go back to digging ditches or working in a supermarket. They don't go back to the high-paid jobs. That's where we come from, most boxers. No education, not a very rare boxers have a trade. So when you get to a good level and you're going to earn good money, why would you risk it by having a line of Charlie or having a spliff or doing something stupid that's going to jeopardise? It just makes sense to me. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's.
But anyway, Benavidez is a good fighter, and I think that I'm more tenacity and bigger in his work, and I think he'll grind out a win, which might not be an entertaining scrap, but I think it'll be competitive, but Benavidez will prevail.
Yeah, not making excuses for him. He's obviously a young guy, but no, a tremendous fighter. I mean, someone I think is in really for a shout of. It sounds mad because he's already been a world champion. If he wins, he becomes a 2-time world champion. But I still think a little bit he's one of the kind of guys you say is going to be the future of boxing, because he's got such a brilliant style. I just love watching him. He's been sparring the likes of Canelo and Golovkin since he was about 18 years old. He's got so much potential, and like I said, the style, I just love his style. He can punch with both hands. I think he said it to me when we had him on a few weeks ago. He said once he wins this, once he regains championship status, then he wants to chase after the unifications. He mentioned the likes of Caleb Plant. I think that's a fight that can quite easily be made. And then he even mentioned the likes of Callum and Billy Joe. It's a brilliant division at super middleweight because all champions are all undefeated. So we want to see those unifications. Moving up to the final fight. The main event, Errol Spence Jr. Barry, 25-0 for the WBC and IBF World Welterweight titles against Sean Porter, 30-2 with one draw. Funny enough, Porter has been sparring David Benavidez in the build-up for this one. Not quite sure why, But it's a 12-round fight. Talk to me.
It's a great fight. You know, we moan and groan about back in the day, back in the second half, but this is a high level fight. It really is. The quality is going to be tremendous. And both will commit as well when they have to. That's the good about this fight. You've got to favour Spence. I think Porter has more pedigree at this level, for sure. And Porter, by the way, is one of the most massively underrated fighters in both today. He really is. You almost people forget about him. You know, and I think Kell Brook's win over him gets better with age. Actually, to be fair, I think at the time he beat Porter, but Porter, is Porter that good? Well, he's proven good. He's come back from another world title and beat some good fighters, and I think he'll be competitive against Errol Spence. I don't think Spence will have no way, but ultimately, I think Spence, with the way he keeps his shape, almost like that Donald Curry type thing. I know he's a Texas boy himself, that Donald Curry type thing. A solid southpaw jab. I know Curry was an orthodox, but he works down a solid, keeps his hands nice and high. Dart through some left hand every now and again. I think he'll just slow Porter down enough to make Porter, and I think with the wrong weight, Porter to be chasing the fight a bit, start making some mistakes. And even though I can see Porter having pockets of success and keeping Spence really honest throughout the fight, I think Porter has to get up the floor to win maybe once or twice. But I think he will grit his teeth, and he will see the final bell, Porter. But I think he'll win Spence by unanimous decision, and in a competitive but quite easy fight to score. I think that's what it's going to be like. That's my feeling. Off the top of my head, that's what I think it's going to go. But I think Spence is the real deal. I really do, and I think Porter beats most fighters, even at their best. But I think Spencer's best is a pound for pounder.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a bit of a critic really of Errol Spence in the past, just simply because a lot of his wins have been against guys that are coming up in weight and stuff like that. And he's so big for 147. I mean, obviously, the Kell Brook win stands out. You'd probably say as his best win, but we all know that Kell was coming down, from the Golovkin fight after that. So I was very kind of slow to kind of put all my eggs in his basket as if he's the best at 147. I'm even still a little bit reluctant to say it now, but I feel like this is a real test. Sean Porter's a true welterweight, and the one thing, I just think the size will play a factor. I think Errol is so big, and I can just see. I don't want Porter to box. Please, whatever you do, don't box Porter. Just try and put it on him. That's what you're best at. But I can just see him, walking into a few big shots late on, and I can even perhaps see him getting stopped or wide on points for Spence.
See, I can, I wouldn't argue with that, but for me, I think, because Porter is clever and he gets no credit really. Porter, he should be thought of much more highly than he actually is. But I think because he can box, so you're right. He shouldn't in this fight. He should be nice and low and really put it on Spence and try and get it inside that longer reach. But I think he will get put on the floor. But I think he's tough enough to get up, and I think he's clever enough then to use his feet to sort of stay out the trouble a little bit. But I think because he'd be chasing the fight, to try and make up the ground from the earlier rounds. I think by about round 6 there won't be much in it. I think Spence might be quite a fair distance on some of the cards, but he'll just be nicking rounds rather. So he won't be dominant in any of those rounds. But I think he'll be far enough ahead for Porter to have to start chasing the fight. Porter will just be coming best in most of the rounds for me. That's what I feel. So I think Porter can see the final bell, but I think the latter half, especially those championship rounds, or maybe 10, 11, 12, those 3 rounds there, I think he takes a bit of a hammer in, and it's pretty much a survival job in those last 3 rounds. Unless obviously Spence is really struggling for weight, but it is going to be Spence's biggest test. It's Spence's biggest win. But again, you talk about fighters like prospects, Dennis McCann earlier on. With Spence, you see that superstar potential in him, so you tend to think this is his biggest test. And this is where he's going to step up to the plate and show how he really is and dominant performance. And I think because he's very pragmatic in his approach, I don't see a stoppage. I see a very, very disciplined display. and he picks him apart and doesn't take any silly risks, and he dominates like a Donald Curry. Everything keep your shape, everything right down the line, down the pipe. Boom. Every time the guy blinks or makes a move, you make him pay with that jab. And if he gets inside that jab, you make him pay with that backhand, or the left hand it will be for Spence. And if he gets in low, you whip that uppercut in. And you answer every move you make, you answer with a good, well-timed, executed punch. And I think that's what he'll do. Little adjustments to his feet. He won't take massive steps, little steps back, little steps to the side. And then I should train him really. I should be getting 10% for this. But yeah, I think that's what I think he's that good. And then you want to see him against Crawford. That's what everyone wants to see. I don't know if it can be me, because Crawford looks more athletic, but Spence looks more disciplined. And I think it's a fight, a very hard fight to pick up on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I find it hard to argue with any of that. I think he wants a Manny Pacquiao fight next if he gets through that. But yeah, I think that's what
you can't see. I hate that fight. Pacquiao's gone on too long. He's going to get seriously hurt. Whether he takes performance-enhancing drugs or whether he doesn't, whatever the rumours might be, but either way, you can't keep going on forever. I don't care what you put inside your body or what you're not, who knows, allegedly, whatever it is. You can't go on forever. And these guys are younger, bigger, stronger, and you're getting older. You're going to get hurt, and someone like Spence will pick him apart. So I don't like that fight, but you can understand why Spence would want that. Because that's not $3 million, that's $8 million. It's a big jump up. We wouldn't want that fight. But the fight we want to see as fans is a more competitive fight, and I think the Crawford fight is their Leonard and Hearns. That's their Leonard Hearns fight right there. It's not the same level as that, but it's the era you're gonna get.
Yeah, I agree. But that wraps everything up. We've done the review. We brought you the first guest. We skipped the news, but there's not really been any news. If anything does happen, I'll mention it at the very end of the show when signing out. I just want to say, Barry, thank you once again for filling in for the elusive Ayaz Sumra. It's always a pleasure having you on, and I hope to do it again soon.
He's a waste of space, this kid. Where is he?
I know, he is.
He's a waste of space. He's winning all the time. Is he won the lottery or something? Is he like a lottery winner, like a Thunderball winner or something like that, and just goes on holiday all the time? That just works with you when he fancies it.
I think so.
Because it got to be something like that. Something's going on. He's a dodgy character. we need to investigate him a little bit more. You know what I mean? Have you screened him? Who knows what he's up to? You know what I mean? He could be some sort of gigolo off go around the world, you know what I mean? Thousands of pounds, and you're stuck at home there doing no crafting. Send the sort of act out.
I will do, Barry. But like I say, thank you so much for joining me. But that is everything. We just have one last thing to do, of course, and that is to welcome our second and final guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the reigning and undefeated WBC Light-Heavyweight World Champion. It is, of course, Mr. Oleksandr Gvozdyk. Oleksandr, welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
Hey, it's brilliant to have you on, Oleksandr. So, firstly, I do want to just quickly revisit the Adonis Stevenson fight. Obviously, back in December, you went out there to Canada. Going into that fight, you were the underdog. But talk me through the fight, because it was a brilliant technical fight, and it was full of action throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I heard about everything, and I'm glad right now Adonis is doing good, and I'm glad I'm glad everything in the past. He passed all the difficulties, and right now I know he's a 95% healthy person, and I'm glad.
Yeah, it's great to see the progress he's making. Obviously, that Stevenson fight was a tough fight. Stevenson had so much experience. He was a southpaw with big power. But talking of power, your opponent for next month, 100% knockout percentage. Do you believe your fight here with Beterbiev will be tougher than the Stevenson fight, or not as tough?
I don't know. To be honest, it's a tough question because, Stevenson, I think, was a more seasoned fighter, and he has a better opposition than Beterbiev has. So I don't know. I cannot answer your question because they are both punchers, but they are different. If Stevenson more like a tricky puncher, so this guy just coming straight forward. He more plain, but I think he can be stronger, and he always making a constant pressure on you. So I don't know. We're getting ready. for everything, for any scenario. So we're going to try to neutralize his power. And, I can tell you which was harder only after fight.
Okay. And in boxing, it's rare that we get to see the best fight the best. So whenever a unification fight happens, I'm always very excited. But obviously, in boxing, there's 4 belts in every weight division. And even if we see a unification, it doesn't always mean it's actually the number 1 against the number 2. But I want to ask you, do you believe that you and Artur are number 1 and number 2, which would then mean that Bivol and Kovalev are 3 and 4?
It's also a tough question, because to figure this out, you're supposed to, meet each of those fighters, and then you will decide. So we're just making the first step to become an undisputed champion, and then the Cole and Bill are supposed to do the second one, and then we can meet each other in the finals. But, it's not necessary if one fighter beats another one and the second fighter beats the third one. It's not necessary that first fighter going to beat third one. So it's a boxing. It can be like a difficult, regarding styles. So we will see what's going to happen. So there's a saying that there's styles making fights. And I think our style is going to be great to make this fight really exciting.
Yeah, that's a brilliant answer. And of course, the fight takes place October 18th in Philadelphia for your WBC and Beterbiev's IBF Light-Heavyweight World titles. The winner will then hold 2 of the major 4 belts. Is your goal in the long term, Oleksandr, to get all 4 of them? Is that what you want to do?
Yes, this is my dream. My dream to be undisputed champion. And that's why we're doing this step. And also, it's good for fans. Fans doesn't want to see like a 4 Russian guy, like reigning in a light heavyweight division and fighting some contenders. They want to see the beef, and we're going to give it for them.
And how do you see this fight playing out? Obviously, Beterbiev, knocking everyone out that he faces. He showed a tiny bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Vulnerability, perhaps, when he was on the floor against Callum Johnson, our man from Britain. And obviously yourself, you can certainly punch. Do you believe the fight can possibly go the distance, or is there going to be a knockout for someone?
Everything's possible. I can tell you for sure that I'm getting ready for 12 rounds, and if it's going to be sooner, everything can happen. Nobody knows, could be an occasion. It's not necessary if 2 punchers facing each other is going to be a knockout. We will see what's going to happen.
And right now, boxing for Ukraine is just electric. It's amazing. I want to ask you, Oleksandr, have you got a pound-for-pound top 5 list at all? If so, is Lomachenko right at the top?
Yes, for me, for sure. I admire his talent, and he is probably the best fighter so far. And you want me to do my list for pound-for-pound fighters. So, I'll put Lomachenko in the first place. I would put Terence Crawford on the second. I would say Usyk on the 4th and the 5th place. And 4th and 5th place, it's going to be, we will know the November 2nd how this place is going to be distributed between Kovalev and Canelo.
Okay, exciting fights, man, exciting fights. I also want to get your reaction, Oleksandr. If you saw the Anthony Yarden and Sergey Kovalev fight, what was your reaction to that? Do you believe Yarden's got potential to have a brilliant future at light heavyweight?
Yeah, he's a really, really good fighter. He's a really young guy, and he already, gave a decent fight to the reigning champion and seasoned champion, as the Kovalev is. And, I think he has a good potential if he's going to make a right conclusion for his last fight and keep going forward. He could be a future big thing.
And the last 2 questions I've got for you, Oleksandr, I'm kind of putting you on the spot a little bit here, but I like to ask this question to everyone that we speak to from all over the world. Who would you say, who springs to mind when I ask you, who's your favourite UK fighter of any era, all time?
UK fighter? Oh, it's a difficult question, to be honest, I'm not really familiar with the old UK fighters.
That's okay.
That's why I would pick Anthony Joshua, because, sorry for my ignorance, but
okay.
I would say Anthony Joshua. But, I like Chris Eubank, I like Joe Calzaghe, I like Nigel Benn a lot, but I don't know who was the best from those guys. Maybe Joe Calzaghe.
Yeah, I mean, you've listed enough brilliant names there. How do you see the Joshua Ruiz fight playing out, the rematch in Saudi Arabia in December?
Well, I think, to be honest, on the first fight, it seems to be easy for Joshua because something happened with him in the first fight. I don't know what exactly. Maybe it was the pressure. Maybe it was a start strike. Maybe he earning too much money and losing motivation. But something was wrong with him. He wasn't looks like him. But I think right now, the rematch, I think Joshua is supposed to win, but I don't think he's going to destroy the guy for a couple rounds. I think it's going to be a competitive fight, but then eventually Joshua going to win either decision or a stoppage in the late rounds. This is my prediction for this fight. But I don't know. Everything can happen,
That's why we love boxing.
It also much. Depends on Joshua's mental condition for this fight.
Yeah.
How it's affected his loss to this guy in the first fight, how it can affect him in the second one, his mental state.
Yeah, big point, because obviously a loss can make you or break you. Brilliant point, Oleksandr. And finally, have you got any closing words just to our UK listeners? You've got a lot of supporters over here that are supporting you and are wishing you the best in this fight and all the fights afterwards. What's your message to your UK supporters, Oleksandr?
Hey, hello, all my UK supporters, and I'm glad you're watching me. I'm glad you're supporting me. And watch my fight October 18th. It's going to be exciting. I fought in London on Olympic Games. I know you're the best audience, and that's it. Just looking forward. We have a lot of things in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that message, Oleksandr. Listen, it is an absolute pleasure speaking with you, my friend. I wish you the best of luck for October 18th, and hopefully we can speak sometime after the fight, my friend.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, and this wraps up episode 206 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. The former WBO Super-Featherweight World Champion Barry Jones has been with me for the duration of the show. A massive thank you to all you guys listening, and also of course our two guests this week, the undefeated WBO European Super-Featherweight Champion Archie Sharp and the undefeated WBC Light-Heavyweight World Champion Oleksandr Gvozdyk. We are doing predictions on two fights this weekend. Those two fights are Spence vs Porter and Dirrell vs Benavidez. You, the listeners, have voted for Benavidez by knockout and Spence on points. I agree with both of those. Ayaz doesn't see a knockout in either fight. He sees Spence on points like we do, but he also sees Benavidez to get a points victory instead of the knockout. So that is what he's going with. The news. Billy Joe Saunders will now defend his WBO Super Middleweight World title against an opponent to be named in the coming days. That will be on the KSI vs Logan Paul 2 undercard on November 9th in LA. Top Rank have signed the heavyweight contender Carlos Takam on a co-promotional deal. Dimitri Bivol defends his WBA light heavyweight world title against Lenin Castillo on the Usyk vs Spong undercard on October 12th in Chicago. For those that that know the name, Castillo's a guy who fought Marcus Brown, and he actually put him down, but he ended up losing. It was the fight before Brown went on to beat Badu Jack for the world title. So I can't really see Bivol having any problems beating Castillo. And of course, finally, one of Gvozdyk's favourite UK fighters, Nigel Benn, returns to the ring on November 23rd in Birmingham against the former world champion Sakio Bika. By the time Ben gets in the ring, it would have actually been 23 years and 2 weeks since his last fight against Steve Collins back in 1996. Boy, oh boy, don't you just love the craziness of boxing? You never know what's around the corner. But that is about everything from me. Thank you all for listening once again to this week's show. Remember to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and we shall see you all again next week.